go as their first pick every single time. But Sunset, to me, it does make a lot of sense. Even if both of the teams, as of recent, they went 1 and 2 in their wins and losses on this map. This is a map where both of them feel pretty comfortable with their own compositions. Like Emily is saying, a little bit of the chamber for the side of WADA. For MIBR, that kind of slow play style sometimes that they're able to bring, playing a lot for contact as they're taking sites, but also on top of that, going for these fast plays that they can rely on in the hands of SRN. So they have two different ideas, different approaches here that can be really comfortable, but it's also going to depend on how this defense is going to play out. When you look at the strongest starts that MIBR had, they were always every single time on the attack side. So for WADA, it has to be the most dominant defense side that they can have here.
And with our agent select, I was curious if we're going to see changes on the side of WADA, considering we are seeing it in different individuals step in but to the roster. But Emily, it looks like it's going to be something a little bit more familiar here, so this should be really exciting.
No, I'm so excited to see how MIBR plays this map and how they actually plan on putting a stop to the Starbound chamber off. They have Breach, they have Sova, they have everything that they need to kind of clear it out.
It's going to be an exciting first map of the series, MIBR and WADA. Who's going to strike first on Sunset? It's time to find out with your casters, Ash and Shift.
Rank these three teams as we head into the opening pistol. Who are you looking at as the favorite in this Swiss?
I feel like taking a look at this pistol rounds, but overall, that's a tough one, Shift. I think that when I consider tomorrow and the fact that we're going to have that final matchup, I think this is the preview of that grand final, right? When you're looking at all three of these teams across the three regions, and we were listening to the desk how they're setting up this match too. For me, it almost gives like the Game Changers version of like TSM versus Envy. That's like the vibe that I'm going to be getting for tomorrow. But we got to lock in here first for the first round of Swiss.
Totally valid, and MIBR have a major advantage here in the pistol. Nice relay bolt. Tried to combine it with the Haunt, but shut down with the crossfire. SRN able to just push on forward and take down two. Starbound with one consolation elimination, but not much to sweat about. MIBR off to the races early and looking pretty structured in terms of how they took the opening fights and the patience there in the post plan as well.
Yeah, that is for certain. I think that was the big stylistic highlight between these two teams, right? Again, for WADA, this team that's been marching to the beat of their own drum, having this signature chamber in every single composition that we see from them versus the very structured and precise play that you would see out of MIBR. And it's going to be very interesting to see how these two, I think, interact, because a playstyle like WADA can definitely catch you off guard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's usually those more structured teams that are able to make up like the right protocols and right game plans. But it's also important to not fall too deep into that structure so that you can still thrive in the chaos that a team like WADA is going to create.
And that's so true. And I think, the Death brought up a good point. Like, WADA doesn't hide anything. They're going to run chamber every map. Like, they just want Starbound with a free sniper rifle as often as humanly possible. And that does create an opportunity to counter-strat against in a lot of regards. So, good sound cues here from Bastarda. Able to catch the defense rotating over through main. That's going to have Lisa ready to go. Has the paranoia if they need it. And we'll queue it up for the perfect flank opportunity. 3 down on the quick, easy pinch. And WADA will see this round come to an end.
That's something that we're going to have to continue to keep an eye out for there for Bastarda as well, right? Just those end of round, mid-round positions that are going to be able to catch a lot of those aggressive plays from WADA off guard. They're going to have to kind of keep that in mind when they do go for some of those sandwich retakes here on the defense.
Yeah, so true. The lurk game out of the Cypher is always something to keep an eye on when you're playing on Sunset, but Bastarda has already established that threat is going to be pretty permanent here on this first half. Saw it in the opening pistol just a touch, but of course, this play absolutely perfect. Just catches WADA completely off guard. So a great start. You even hear the home crowd get a little bit behind their squad here in Brazil. And now we get into the full purchase against the bonus of MIBR. But I say there was some hesitancy. We got 2 Vandals, a Guardian, 2 Bulldogs. and some pretty strong armors across the board. So in terms of a bonus, MIBR looking like a threat.
Oh, that is for certain. It's basically like a full loadout up against a full loadout. Taking a look at how they're approaching this round, though, it's no surprise to see that mid door still open just to give Starbound that line of sight. There still is the Vice Wall to deal with over here. Initially already just walked straight on through by 2 players.
Oh, Outlaw hits once, Relay bolt out. Sayuri trying to push forward, but the Rendezvous will get the chamber back to safety. Now it's just down to can WADA try to contest this post plant before it gets established in the 5v4. Paranoia hit with the Prowler. Is there an opportunity to try to break through this? No, a lot of the status effects will be shaken off. Nice mitigation of the space from both Melissa and on the flip side, Lisa. So now you've just got Starbound and Australis by themselves. 2v1. Astarda's able to get to a reposition up high. Playing on a pretty tight angle. Sees one. First shot's miss. Hits the second. Oh, how about the headshot? Starbound can't lock it in. And it's a 3-0 start for MIBR.
Insane clutch there to get that pistol round into pocket. I really loved those fight protocols over in Market. You saw Sayuri throw out that aftershock really to delay that push that was coming in through Market, and then you had the swing coming from Bastarda just to provide that additional cover while Sayuri was trying to fight that right-hand side. Really well played, and then the nail in the coffin here for the 1v2 Red Bull clutch for Bastarda. Absolutely insane way to be kicking things off here for MIBR.
Yeah, this is as good as it gets in terms of Cypher gameplay on the post plants. So now you're back to essentially a save here for WADA. A couple of Sheriffs, a Bucky, and of course the Headhunter in issue.
Timing.
Contact over towards B main doesn't really result into too much. On the flip side, some pressure shown at mid, countered by a smoke, and that'll be enough for the Aldrone offensively to get a little bit of a peek into B.
You already deal with one of those thorns early on there too as well, and the contact play from the rest of the team. You've got to Bucky up close though from Adora.
First shot goes wide. Adora connects on the second. That's not bad. You hold this tight angle nicely, and with 60 seconds on the clock, MIBR are going to have to make a decision. Are they really going to commit through that Bucky? And it looks like the answer is no. A bit of a slower rotation through tiles, maybe trying to reconfirm some info for Mel playing over towards B main. This looks like it's going to be some sort of market pinch.
Yeah, just trying to circumvent getting past that wall in B main and not having anyone get stuck behind it. Just also the awareness here from MIBR to know that WADA off that A main presence were likely stacking towards mid and A. A wall to cross, at the very least. They don't take the timing, so Juna still has this.
2 shots go a bit wide under SRN. So that'll be enough for the plant to come through. And you can see, just look at the arrows on the minimap. Everyone's looking for the Cypher, and rightfully so. Nice little dive as Adora gets up close and personal with the overdrive. So an opportunity now to make a play in through Market. Try to pinch this out, but SRN has cleared out the backside of B. Sayuri try to hold things at the Market pinch. Aftershock will slow things down. Shock Dart right behind that, trying to get some extra damage. And here's the firing squad, and it's SRN taking down everything, pumped up as it stays flawless for MIBR.
And that's the duelist that we've grown to know and love on the stage there in SRN. That mechanical power that comes out from them that the desk was highlighting so well. They're just able to have those pop-off moments. And it was crazy too, because the way that fight just went down, it was a full spray control to find the tail end of that 4K. And when you have that energy also behind you on stage, it really just fuels that fire with the momentum that MIB are already building.
Wow. Hot start, but WADA can full afford here. And Starbound will be pulling some sniper presence in the next couple of rounds. With the Tour de Force coming up next, regardless of what happens, you would think. Hunter's Fury out early and flashed up was Juna, nowhere to go. Starbound getting aggressive, has nowhere to really back up to. Aldrone trying to tag, Melissa able to follow up and confirm the kill as the spike gets planted.
Spike planted.
You can definitely tell that MIBR have done their homework here on WADA with how they're trying to isolate these Sentinel players on site. This wrap back around could be everything, but the paranoia also goes wide. Unfortunate there, but somehow we're tied up to 2.
Next elimination could be a big one. And Sayuri will fall, leaving it just down to Melissa. First shot's clean, looking for the second. Oh my goodness! MIBR are not losing clutch situations. Another one in the books, and MIBR still staying flawless.
It is just insane. Coming down to those moments there once again for the Red Bull clutch, and you definitely know that WADA is going to be feeling the burn after a couple of those moments, right? Very winnable rounds where they're able to finally find that advantage, and yeah, continuous heroics to be pulled out from these individuals on the side of MIBR. But back to what I was saying before Shift, I think you can really tell how they've done their homework on how WADA play. They understand, okay, Starbound is such a threat when that operator comes online, but that set play with the Hunter's Fury, to be called, that manages to take out Juno while they're fast flooding through market, it causes all of the possible chaos to find them that success, right? And the first time out to be called here in map 1.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a really big point, and you see it almost exemplified in that last round where Starbound, you know that they're going to be trying to pull some sort of a sniper rifle out, but always looking for advanced angles. So you've got this little push up through mid to try to feel out, is Starbound there? No, they're not. So an opportunity to get into market, and then you see what happens. Starbound gets pushed deeper into B main as the hit starts to develop, loses their other defensive cohort inside the site, and is just completely left on an island. And I will say, like, just taking that conversation point into what we saw in North American Game Changers, that's where teams like YFP started to show that, yes, we understand that Starbound is an individually incredible sniper rifle, but you can put them into really bad spots and punish. And YFP was able to beat WADA twice. I won't say just because of that factor, but it definitely was an element, just kind of holding Starbound to minimal terms.
Yeah, really not allowing Starbound to feel comfortable getting activated on some of those deep lines. But a slower start here in the default of MIBR. No surprise, knowing that WADA will be on that eco, trying to avoid this tool de false, but then also trying to skip out from any death ball that might be incoming, because we know that this team does like to get active on some of these eco rounds. Do we get the drone out?
Deploying drone.
Well, here comes the first contact over towards A main. Largely will just be walked right through. Relay Voltage to make sure there's no one on the side, and then Rolling Thunder to follow. That will move Australis inside the site, but can't get away from SRN. Good response, though, from Starbound. A little bit of AoE slow on top of the site. Doesn't really mitigate the potential for a plant, but at least it allows the defense to rotate over pretty quickly.
Spike planted.
You got the Prowler to clear out close here as well. But you already see, like, prepped and ready. Look at Lisa. She's got that paranoia already up off the contact of this flood.
Well, here comes the retake tools on the way. Nightfall at the ready if it's wanted. Overdrive first. Starbound connects for a second. Melissa in the corner will be pushed off by that Nightfall. Bastarda, do you have a crossing angle for this? The answer so far has been yes, as they're able to find one. Trickling in is the recon bolt, and that's enough for Melissa to isolate and also keep Power Pixel away from the defuse. Really good counteraction from MIBR to hold the post plant.
It came down to the wire, though. We saw the investment out of the Nightfall there on the side of WADA into that retake, but like you were saying, the post plant has just been so good. You can definitely see this chemistry that this team has built together after the last couple of years with that core here for MIBR, and then these new pieces that joined midway through this season. But on the side of WADA, we also have to keep in mind, like, they're coming into America's LCQ here for Game Changers with a substitute, right? Within their duelist, Adora is absolutely incredible, but as you kick things off here, WADA finally finding success and finding these advantages in the early round.
Yeah, I think the thing about that is it's not just finding the advantages, it's taking these fights on their terms in a very different identity to what we've seen to this point, to this at least 7th round. And all it takes is just a little trigger of the ultimate orb, and WADA takes the bait. So after they get the free 2 first kills, all of a sudden MIBR respond, and they have a 3v2 in the other direction.
I think just a little overheat moment there. Yeah, although it is definitely a mistake in that regard because they lose out on that fight, in a way as well, I still take it almost as a good sign that they're still holding on to that confidence, though, down 0-6. It's just about trying to see that a little bit more measured. For MIBR, this is going to be a comfortable site for them to take after figuring out that wall for the side of WADA. I am curious to see if they will go for that retake knowing Bastarda is so low, or if they just try to
30
save the
seconds
off
left.
into the next round instead.
Yeah, I think you have to save here. Yeah, it looks like they're going to.
Spike planted.
I just don't see a world, unless you can find some sort of a passive angle and take this to a 2v2, that there's really a world to get on in here. And just to speak to the bigger terms of this scoreboard, you know, I know the desk was a little curious and had a couple of head-scratching moments with why does WADA select this map of all things into this, again, very strong MIBR team on this map. Defensively, though, WADA, this is their weaker side, but you feel like they need to get 4 to make this serviceable. Looks like they're going to try to commit to this just a touch. Juna's going to toggle for the spike. Now you're getting an opportunity just to get the extra bit of Hunter's Fury post-plant resiliency, and that will be enough for WADA to decommit, get back, and save the weapon. So yeah, a little feel out to see if they can find anything. Nothing to be found. Weapons saved, and now it's not a must-win out situation here for WADA, but you need to start showing something.
Yeah, we've definitely seen those signs of life in some of these rounds, though, with how close some of those moments have definitely gone. I know that we definitely wish that we saw them playing a little bit safer with that 5-3 advantage over towards elbow, but those little mistakes are things that we're going to see WADA continue to tighten up on if they want to be able to take this series the distance.
There.
Well, similar look here for WADA, trying to play off of this one-way smoke, but they've already missed the opportunity to really utilize it. Paranoia will come through, and MIBR are gone. So, in terms of utility exchange, advantage MIBR, and they may, I would say, try to threaten this again. They look pretty antsy to try to get in there, but that little jump peek from Adora will have them, well, maybe even committing a little bit further, but the replacement of the one-way likely has them looking back towards B main, where, keep an eye on Juna, playing a bit different angle.
Yeah, the most forward that we've seen her play, and she's going to be punished for that there as well, and that's tough when that was the investment of the hero rifle that was saved from the previous round to be taken out here while the full team here of MIBR looks to cross into sight.
Starbound, you can see it just a little antsy on where did the cross into the site go to. Am I running out of time to stay in this position? And will rendezvous back towards safety. You have to give this a try if you're WADA, but it's not going to feel good. This post plant very resemblant of early round action as SRN is playing the crossfire with Lissa. And yeah, Starbound will connect once. If you can find something through B screens, maybe a chance to still crack into this, but watch that lurk. Nell's on the way. You're running out of time here if you're WADA, and it looks like not just the clock, but the sheer show of force will put this a bit more out of commission unless Australis can hit right here, but no, not the case. MIBR come up big again and still stay perfect.
There's also that conversation of experience here on the stage, right? I think that while the players on the side of WADA do have a lot of history competing within Valorant, outside of Valorant, you're also looking at the stage experience that matters there. As we take a look back over at this Red Bull clutch to come back in, but for the side of MIBR, these players have all been on that big stage previously. They have that experience, they have that comfort, right? Meanwhile, for the side of WADA, you've got a couple of players in PowerPixel, in the side of Starbound, where you're looking to have that experience kind of shine in for the team here, right? Have them kind of try to be like that mental rock and reset them when it does come down to those nerves. And when you're stepping in with the substitute there as well, I think it does like put a little bit of that maybe additional like anxiety of being on the stage, because there are just so many new elements that you're having to learn to deal with, right?
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I hate, it's a storyline that we talk about often as commentators, especially in the, you know, we'll just say just the levels underneath the VCT pro scene at large, where, again, it's every match is being played in a live environment. It is new, but to these players, it should not be a game changer. It shouldn't be enough to go into your map pick and not have a round one yet. I mean, I think you look at certain instances, again, we're dealing with a quote-unquote incomplete roster for WADA, but I mean, outside of the opening 2 first kills they got a couple rounds ago, there really hasn't been another moment that WADA can look at and say, hey, this is going well for us. Like, everything is going wrong right now.
I think that, honestly, in some moments, we're seeing them playing really risky, like taking those risks when they're up in numbers. But then other times it feels like you're not seeing as much of that pressure that you would want that's trying to force them into either Juna or Starbound. So whether it's device setup or into the chamber off. I feel like MIBR have been really comfortable kind of just working around the map because of that lack of pressure. We are seeing a bit of a deeper A main hold thanks to that one wave that was thrown earlier into the round there on the side of WADA.
Yeah.
And you can see how much more difficult it has made it for MIBR, a little bit more uncomfortable for them to clear into some of those spaces early.
The thing about it is this one-way smoke on the A corner really hasn't been as much of a threat as I think MIBR, or rather, sorry, pardon me, WADA would have liked to have had, because MIBR have walked past it and had 3 or more playing through that corner. So it forces WADA to have to play aggressive a couple of rounds, see if they can try to respect a different level of that aggression. But you can see, again, through elbow, free vacancy. This relay bolt doesn't really matter. And SRN is going to lurk with an op as the full reset will happen over towards B main. Omen will follow Omen. Overdrive out for SRN, trying to hold the back as Alyssa will get the plant down. No contact as of yet, as MIBR will wait to get their defense on this post plant into play, as WADA are trying to find the access to the numbers, but SRN shuts that down immediately. Here comes the next play.
Steel Garden.
Yeah, it's got to be just what you can get out of the alternate shots. And honestly, there's a lot of MIBR members that don't get hit by that.
Market timing on Bastardo.
Yeah, it gets WADA onto the site. Oh, really good fault line combined with the shock dart. And shots just are not landing for WADA. 9-0 MIBR.
That's such an insane set play to be called there by Sayuri on the side of MIBR. The IGL bringing out, again, these really structured ideas. And I think that the silence and lack of information that MIBR were willing to give WADA in that round made it just that much harder for them. Like that lurk from SRN over towards V main into the From the Shadows TP when it came down to like the last 20 seconds of the round was just such an insane and risky call to make, but it pans out so perfectly.
Well, dire straits here as we try to end this first half. WADA back onto a save. Cash is flowing right now for MIBR. They're also really close to a Rolling Thunder to make matters just even worse as they finish off this half for WADA. And, well, that helps. A little double walk down to B main. We'll have one weapon collected. But can you deal with the pressure starting to establish inside a market? Power Pixel able to connect. So opportunity here with numbers. SRN trying to force the fight. Juna responds with a collected weapon, but whoa! SRN rips the face of Juna right on off, and that'll be enough for the spike to be planted on B.
Spike planted.
Got 3 players going for the 2-prong retake to come in. Nightfall invested does hit. Sayuri, you got that Golden Thunder available here as well. Not aware of the flank coming in.
Shot connects for Sayuri, but not enough to confirm the elimination. Sayuri now by themselves. The timing just not there, and that's how WADA get their first round win. It seems simple to say, but they get the first 2 first bloods. You take your numbers advantage, you get a couple of collected weapons, you wait for your number superiority, you win round. It seems and sounds maybe easier than it's been, but WADA finally on the board.
A much needed round for them to pick up here. Important for the confidence, important to try and get back into it into the next half. Both these teams have so much success on the attacking side. It's definitely the more comfortable half of the map for them. Both of these teams also tending to struggle a little bit more on defense here on Sunset. But like you were saying before, Shift, WADA, they still need a couple of those rounds here in the first half to make it doable in the second.
3 would be fine-ish. The trade from Power itself, but just too many to manage. Neural Theft going to be called in for the attack. And that's going to be enough to get Mel sprinting onto A for the plant. That'll be the end of the ultimates for the offense. Defensively, nothing much to consider, although Juna has already gotten closer and closer towards the second Steel Garden. So if you you can find a couple more, maybe that'll come into play for round 12. But first and foremost, it's getting back onto site.
Oh, that shock dart doing quite a bit of poke damage there to start things off as well.
Melissa up top. Good, really good. Melissa down low, able to combine, and there was never a chance that WADA were going to get back into the site. This has been perfect. And again, you just look at the numbers, and with this convincing nature of a first half, you have to wonder, what did WADA think that they were doing picking this map? I mean, again, just by the statistics, MIBR, this has been one of their best maps, only dropping it to Team Liquid in their region a couple different times. So I don't know. I'm not vibing with what WADA is trying to cook up here.
I mean, there could be a world where they pick into it because they feel like they learned a lot after those losses, or it could have been maybe a comfort thing for the sub coming in, feeling like Sunset was going to be comfortable to slot her in there. I think something troubling as well, as we see Adora manage to at least get those trades at minimum, try to get out of elbow here. On top of that, not going to happen. But those initial shots from Starbound have been going awry, like a very rare misses coming out from Starbound that we've been seeing throughout this map so far. They just haven't really been able to connect in those openers, which is something that typically they're able to do so comfortably, very rarely even falling in those opening engagements.
And you know, the thing on top of that I really enjoy about what I'm seeing from MIBR is they're not just getting information on where exactly Starbound is playing, but once they do confirm that the Chamber is kind of out by themselves, they're not afraid to go 1-for-1 with the Chamber, because you know that what we see from Starbound is often that they're playing as a front guard towards the site.
One enemy remaining.
And at worst, there's one more player behind them. So it's been clean, it's been polished, and it's been very dictative in terms of MIBR saying, we'll take that shell, we'll play our numbers. And they're playing their numbers flawlessly in 11-1 half. Holy cow. On WADA's map selection, the fans loving it here in Brazil. MIBR off to the races. And this could spell disaster in a lot of ways to what this series could look like. And generally, the chances for for WADA to try to get through this Swiss stage at this point.
Yeah, it is pretty insane, the reaction that you're seeing from the crowd. Really behind MIBR there, but like you were saying, every single piece of utility, it feels like that MIBR throw out is never done in vain. Like, you always see that coming in and it being useful here, Shift.
Indeed the case. A lot of work to be done for WADA. They will transition to their better side, but I say that with a lot of hesitancy because their better side has been, what, 58% or so?
O clima aqui no meio do povo está maravilhoso, faz barulho, faz barulho. Eu estou aqui com a Blue Bia, que é a pessoa mais empolgada. Tá entendendo? Vocês estão entendendo? Amiga, da onde vem toda essa empolgação, essa energia?
Não faço a menor ideia, eu sei que elas fazem isso com a gente. Aqui é MIBR, aqui é Brasil!
And we're Blue Bia, she's the most excited fan here today. Ask her where does come from all this energy. She says just an also for my IBR. E amiga, tá muito fácil, eu tô ficando com medo tão fácil que tá, é pra ficar mais tranquilo mesmo, vai ser assim mesmo, 2-0 e é nóis?
Em nome de Jesus, mas assim, tô nervosa, mas olha, vai dar MIBR, certeza, certeza!
Certeza, é isso. I asked her if I can be chill that my IBR is gonna win. She said, you have to be chill, it's gonna be a IBR win. Muito obrigado, amiga. Divirta-se, vai mais barulho! Com você, André!
That's the other factor about only winning a little over half of your offensive rounds is you're playing a 6v5, it feels like, with the crowd bringing that kind of energy.
That is absolutely for certain. When you've got the crowd behind you, it feels like you're going to almost do anything at times. And MIBR, they have been fully in control of this game. This pistol round couldn't be any more important here for WADA. But it also might be a moment where you kind of just look to reset heading into map number 2 for Ascent.
Yeah, I mean, you drop this pistol, you're in, well, regardless of what happens in this pistol, you're in full purchase mode the rest of the way. So, it's a must win. You got to follow up with the second and probably win the bonus to start building some momentum and some hope. Then I think the big standout here, Australis and Juna, just not getting things going. 7 total eliminations between the two of them combined. not what you want to see. So, WADA on the pistol. They make their way, try to get in towards B. Trapwire does slow things down just a touch, but the Haunt will let this offense scale deeper and get the spike on site.
You do have a backstab incoming here as well with Starbound on that late wrap back around tiles, but very heads-up play for MIBR to close that door a little bit later to prevent that.
Door in some trouble. Here comes the Paranoia. Defense going to make their way into the backside of the site. Perfect from SRN to get the first. And the startup will also make the play up through mid-market. So automatically already on for a defuse. And there's not a good enough crossfire set up to try to even get any damage in. Hello? Okay. That's a huge mistake. And MIBR will be on map point just like that.
I demand.
I'm actually really surprised to see WADA just flooding back into B main there. When you're on the pistols especially, it is so hard to play for that B main post plant when the controller's still up on the other team, when you know that you're dealing with a breach on the other side as well. And it does seem like in a lot of these moments that we're seeing from WADA, when it comes down to this composition out from them, it's been hard for them to fight back in a lot of these moments because they just don't really have as much compared to a lot of that breach utility.
Yeah. Well, it goes from bad to worse. There's first blood. Adora was down to 6 HP, nowhere to go. SRN connects, shutting down mid-market, and this just feels like we're already thinking about ascent if you're wadded up. A couple of late eliminations, though, get us to a 2v3. You're on site at B, but this feels like one of those plays that is resembling of a let's just flood B, I guess. Like, it just feels a little light in terms of the strategic nature of it all. And now you're forcing Starbound to have to connect once again. Defensive recon bolt out. Nice shot from Starbound. Down to the 2v2. Sayori's able to get into the backside of the site. Now making the play around the spike itself. Mel is low. And Starbound sees one. Fault line pushes them out. Sayori going to try to put some pressure onto the spike for the defuse call. And that's enough for Power Pixel to take the timing peak and at least get a couple of kills.
Okay, a great swing coming in to net that round here for WADA, but it is still that uphill battle that we're looking towards here for the NA team. MIBR, again, they just look so comfortable, so in control. I like the protocol that we just saw here from WADA. It definitely is tough, though, when they just don't have those rounds to really get started here on the attacking side that we know that they're so good on.
Yeah. Okay. So you're into a save round here for MIBR. That is an opportunity to get a third online here for WADA. And you start to look at things like, okay, Nightfall could be an influence into the full gun round, pending WADA find a couple of kills or at least an orb and elimination for Power, just to try to get that little advantage early. You know, we're coping, trying to find an interest to the match right now because so far it really just has been MIBR in domination, and a little shoulder seam there by Bastarda to at least be aware of where exactly Starbound is at. Whoa, that's bold.
That was so close. Down to like what? Literally 1 HP now.
Yeah.
For SRN. But still good information. Like, look at
great.
this.
It's not just good information. It breaks what is supposed to be a flank watch wall, and that maybe changes the dynamic of what WADA want to do here in the mid round.
Now they're like looking for SRN, trying to like re-clear. They understand that the pathing was to go back into market, but do they understand that there's going to be this 5-player stack on the side of MIBR waiting?
Oh, mercy. Depending on timing here, this could be everything, but Tuna's able to find first blood. SRN in some trouble. Again, that 1 HP quickly converted on, and behind that, Sayori cannot hold the line at mid-market. Okay, flawless round for WADA. Now, keep in mind, with the tally of the scoreboard, they are likely going to need to try to upgrade some of these weapons. You can't play this as a quote-unquote bonus. You just don't have the time for that.
There's no option. Still, though, so many opportunities for MIBR to close out this map pick here of WADA as well. What is it? Are we up to 12-3 now? So
Yep.
9 rounds to be able to close this out. Meanwhile, it's 9 rounds for WADA to try and like claw this back and head into an overtime.
Starbound does have the op-out. So another power tool to possibly be utilized for the job at hand. walk down at mid. WADA will have a lot of freedom to do this behind that dark cover with the combination of that operator pretty much whenever they want. So that's something to keep in mind. And I like this from WADA, holding a little bit longer in the round on this Vice wall just to make sure there is no push through it once again. And they actually are going to try to feel out the corner, but they get info on the Omen, and that is probably enough to say we're not interested.
Yeah, just kind of poking and seeing what the setup looks like. Bastarda and Juna spotting each other here. Crossover at B.
Well, I like this. MIBR showing some presence at backside mid when the dark cover was down. So that actually has eyes for WADA up through mid as they make their way into market. Oh, now all the traps are the big issue. And Adora just gets completely caught. Trying to sprint through it doesn't work. Melissa, though, does get picked. That's the Nightfall. SRN. Gonna be marked by that, I believe. Same thing can be said for Bastardo, who cannot find the conversion to power Pixel. So SRN has to hold tall. Does well for the first, finds the second. Sayori combines with her, and now it's just down to one. Starbound, 1v3. Dark cover in your face. No ammunition, though, for SRN. Maybe a chance here for the 1v3, but no. Sayori puts together the final kill, and it's a comfortable win for MIBR in map number 1.
13-3, the IGL putting map 1 into bed, and overall shift. This was such an impressive showing from MIBR. This is the MIBR Game Changers that we know within the scene. Them showing that dominance. I will say I expected maybe to be a little bit of a closer matchup here into this first map for WADA. They're going to have to look to brush things off, but MIBR are definitely showing that they did not come to play.